The map here, and you can see as we go on over that dilemma of what is the wintry mix and where is it, and is that what's going to show up, or is it snow, or is it rain? You can see snow and white up top here. I'm just giving this as an example. Green and yellow, this is all rain to the south, and you can see the pink in the middle. It's sort of that not rain and not snow. So we're thinking about maybe a snow, sleet, freezing rain kind of a mix, and that's still in the cards for us. So winter weather advisory is out for mainly the northern half of our area. It's not a watch or a warning, just means be on the lookout for the possibility of that kind of weather. We'll see if the National Weather Service stretches any watches or warnings down south as we go on through. Here's the graph model about 4 a.m. Getting a little bit closer to our western counties. It's looking like maybe kind of a 5 a.m. onset the farther west you are, and then maybe in the Macon area as we get on into say 5 to 6. Now, the colors, again, I was talking about, it may come in as snow. Could start as some flurries as we get into the, or I'm talking about early morning, 5, 6 in the morning, and then maybe at some point in here, this is that mixed bag, something that is a little bit on the wintry side here, and then the rain is still farther back toward the south and west. But notice 7, 8 o'clock, the potential is there. You see some green colors in there. It doesn't mean that that's going to be rain. It's just where the model's trying to figure out what's frozen and what's not. There's around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning. Could have some snow or freezing rain north of I-20. But we're still, as long as we see something that's not green, that's the potential for wintry precip. And there's a look at mid-morning tomorrow on into toward lunchtime. And the model's still showing the possibility of a couple of spots of sleet or freezing rain or something like that. And then at some point in the afternoon, it looks like there's going to be a changeover to rain. Now that depends on the temperature profile. If we're still looking at cold stuff, freezing weather as we go on through the day, then obviously this is not rain. But that's the way the models are trending, is that it would change over to a very cold rain as we get on into tomorrow afternoon into tomorrow night. Quick look at the high-res model shows, again, a model that has started to lean more toward the wintry side of things for us. It shows snow possible coming in the morning hours. This is 3, 4 o'clock. So this one's a little bit earlier. I'm going to say morning is more like overnight. There's around 5 a.m. So if it comes in, it might start with some snow, with some flurries, and then at some point maybe a changeover into something that is a little bit of the wintry side here. So again, unfortunately, we just can't tell. We don't know if this is going to be snow, sleet, freezing rain, or a little bit of a mix of all that. And then again, that trend as we go into the high-res model, as we go through the day, definitely the farther south you go is to start to transition more over to rain as this sort of pulls away. So that's the way it is. So the plan really hasn't changed, looking at somewhere 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, starting from the west and going toward the east. We're going to go over to our 13 WMAZ Plus app, YouTube, Facebook, all that jazz, and I'll answer some questions. We'll take you back to programming now. We'll be back here doing this at 9 o'clock. All righty, to the folks who are still with me on all of our platforms, let me see if I can find you here and see if I can answer some questions. Throw on the old glasses so I can read them, and let's see. I don't see anything popping up just yet. Oh, there we go. We need to know if you've packed your jammies and inflated the air mattresses at the station. There are some nearby. Let's see. And, okay. Still questions about Houston County Schools. As far as I know, they're still not closed. All right, so far no questions. But if you're watching, you can see on off toward the west an example of how things could look for us in the morning. This is kind of how that radar plays out. And this is where it really starts getting tricky once we get into the actual event happening. Notice how these blobs change colors. They go from pink to white, back to pink, back, white, green, changing over. The radar is just trying to kind of figure out what's frozen and what's not. Some of this may actually be changing into a different style of precip, if you want to call it that. But a lot of times you're going to see this where these sort of colored blobs just sort of alternate back and forth. And it's hard to tell at any given moment, other than if somebody's standing on the ground and actually tells us, hey, this is snow or this is sleet or whatever. But obviously we don't live in Shreveport, not yet anyway. So as we go on over, just to show you that it is starting to at least get into the screen, over in Mississippi, eventually Alabama. Again, the farther south you go, rain. Let's see. What was that question? Is there a possibility of the weather or storm? Whoop, where'd it go? I don't know where that question went. There's a possibility the storm shift to a different direction. I mean, if it goes, if the actual low pressure that's causing all this, if it were to stay a little farther south underneath us, then we'd have a better chance of seeing wintry stuff like snow, sleet, or freezing rain. But everything's kind of on track right now, it looks like. Let's see, what time do you think it'll come in? I think in our western counties, if you're like in Upson, Taylor County, maybe as early as 3 or 4 in the morning. And then say the Macon area, somewhere probably around 5. All right, let's see. Will it be safe to drive in the morning? That's the thing. A winter storm anywhere really is tricky to forecast, but down here in the south, especially where we are, where it's always kind of on the cutoff line, it's a little tough to say. If you don't have to go anywhere in the morning, I don't think I'd chance it, just in case we end up with kind of an ice situation, slick roads, freezing rain, something like that, then you don't want to be on it. Yep, sleeves are up, no panicking, just be prepared. I like that. Just to show you the winter weather advisory, what does that mean? Well, it's not a watch, it's not a warning. It is advising you. It's kind of like advice that you should keep an eye out for the possibility of snow, sleet, freezing rain mix. Just to show you that graph model from a little earlier, and it has been consistent now for days now, showing some sort of wintry precip for us here. So there's around 5 in the morning. Once again, your snow colors are in the white and purple shade, and the sleet, freezing rain, some sort of snow mix is in the pink. And again, this is not text, this is not like, hey, this is exactly where this is going to be. There's still the possibility with these things that it ends up just being a cold rain. If we don't get the temperature profile just right, then it is it's just a cold rain with maybe some sleet mixed in. It could go the other way, and this turns into snow that also has some sleet and freezing rain as we go through the morning. There's 7, 8 o'clock, on into 9, 10 o'clock. And again, the question is, do we see any snow or any sort of sleet or freezing rain that would sort of start to accumulate and pile up and maybe would affect the surface temperature? That's something else we don't quite know yet either, which would then kind of keep us from getting above freezing tomorrow, which it kind of builds on itself after that. There's 11 o'clock to noon. Again, the farther north you are, probably the better chance. There's noon again. And then notice as we get into the afternoon, this latest graph run, we'll see if it stays that way on the next one, still tries to hold this stuff around even as we get into the early afternoon. And then at some point in the afternoon and evening, changing over to rain. But then I still have the question, once we get on into tomorrow night, there should be a little bit of a warm up right here. We'll see a little bit warmer air coming in from the south briefly as the low passes by to our east. And then there's the question of, do we go to freezing tomorrow night into Saturday morning, which wouldn't have anything to show us on the radar. But anything that would be on the ground, if we have wet roadways, will that refreeze? So we don't know that part yet either. Wow. Folks really getting after it in the comments there. Frisky Thursday. Let's see. I got to be at work at 4 a.m. in Fort Valley, so I should be good from Warner Robins. It just depends. If all this happens a little farther south than Macon, then could be a little tough ride. Do I have to go to work tomorrow? Not touching that one. Let's see. Ben, do you think Houston County will have patches of ice? Could, and I hate to be so vague about it, just don't know. Because we don't know how this is going to play out. We can only go with what the models are showing. If the graph or the high-res model are right, then yeah, there could be some icy stuff on the roads. Let's take a look at the high-res model. And again, this is one that when I looked at it yesterday, was not showing as much as far as wintry stuff and not as far south. As a matter of fact, last night when I was looking at it, it was kind of like a line like that and north of there. Now, I'll leave that there. As we go forward, you can see more of the snow colors in the white and purple coming in. Every model is kind of indicating that there could be at least some sort of burst of snow to start at 4 or 5, 6 o'clock in the morning. After that, that's where head scratching comes in. Does it change over? Now I'll take that line off as we go into the morning. That's a lot of pink shaded area right there. And normally with these sort of winter weather events, and I've seen them 100 times, it's usually, if you're going to see that pink, it's always usually Jasper, Putnam, Hancock, stuff like that. To see it trying to show this far south is just interesting. I don't know if it's going to play out that way. There's 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. And then even with this model, the question, does it start to change over to rain in the mid-morning? I mean, you can look at this and still see maybe making northward and then snow up here possibly. There's just so many things that can happen. I mean, it's not just a cut and dry, here's the line where it's rain and here's where it's snow. It's just not, the technology is just not there. It's not going to show us that. So I can't tell you that. There's tomorrow afternoon. The high-res model is going with everybody else, that at some point in the evening hours, we change over to rain. But then what happens if you have something, a base on the ground? Do you have some sort of sleet or freezing rain or even some snow in a couple of spots on the ground? What all happens with that as we go into Saturday morning? If we get down close to freezing, don't know. Let's see, what kind of comments? We're still in the Houston County thing. Let's see. Charlie, good point. Some comments. Ben, will my driveway have ice at 6:32 a.m.? I don't know that. That's right. At 6:33 a.m. I could help you, but not 6:32. Oops, sitting on an empty model again. Sorry about that. Let's go back to the radar so you can see what it's doing out west. Oh yeah, temperature trend. That's a good point. I probably should show that. This is going to be the graph model. I would probably queue up some more temperature maps for the next time we do this, see if I can find some other models to show you. This one is showing right here. Let's see, midnight 1 a.m., 31, 32. There's 4 a.m., 33, 34. And again, no way of knowing if this is exactly right too, because this graph model, just again, past couple of mornings. Last night, the model was showing 29, I believe it was, for a low, and we ended up at 23. So, I mean, it could be colder than this. And there are some models showing us somewhere in the mid-20s overnight into tomorrow morning. So it doesn't mean that that's where we are. Let me go back here. Whoops, I moved the whole map. Let's try not to do that. Doesn't mean that that's 34. That could easily be 30, 31, maybe 29, something like that. So see if the model's running warm. It's been doing it all week. But you do start to see the warm up coming in from the south as the low is spinning. We will get a little bit of a warm surge toward the south here. So the numbers may drive up some as we go later tomorrow, but it may be only briefly. And again, these numbers could be high. It could end up being lower than that. And then there's that question as we go into Saturday morning. Are we back down below freezing? Okay, we're going to be, I'll answer another couple of questions, I guess. We're going to be doing this again at 9, so I don't want to just hang around here. I can get some other stuff ready for you for the 9 o'clock. Looks like chatting with each other. David, I know you're glad you don't have to forecast this type of weather too often. That is correct. Okay, guys, we will, I'll just put it back on the radar here for a second. We will do this at 9 o'clock again. Same kind of thing where I'll be on TV at 9 just for a brief moment.